These days, it's easy to look at houses online, but it's a little bit more difficult to decide on a neighborhood. Today starts a new series where I take you through the neighborhoods in Southwest Florida and really break them down for you so you know if they fit for you. Yo, I'm Adrienne, longtime Florida realtor, and I'm here to help you get your Florida life. Happy Wednesday, everyone. If you're new here, please subscribe. As I said, this is a new series I'm starting. I'll have a playlist. You can check out all the videos, but this is the first one. We are starting in Burnt Store Isle. I'm going to take you through all you need to know to get you started in Burnt Store Isles. We'll talk about the basics, a little bit of history. I'll get into pricing in Burnt Store Isles, and of course, we will talk about boating. Burnt Store Isles is a waterfront community in the southern part of Punta Gorda. When we look at a map, you can see its biggest competitor in neighborhoods is probably Punta Gorda Isles, a little bit north of it, and then the downtown is a little further north still. When we look at the map for boating, where that circle is, that's the only way out. So to get out to open water from any point in Burnt Store Isles is about 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to talk a little bit more about boating as we go along. Burnt Store Isles is on a golf course. It is got a tennis course, Twin Isles Country Club. It's a beautiful spot. I often say about Burnt Store Isles that it feels like a gated community without the gate. One criticism I get is that it is further from downtown than Punta Gorda Isles. I would say it's about a 10-minute drive, maybe 15 minutes, depending on the day. Pro I hear a lot about Burnt Store Isles is the curb appeal. The curb appeal in Burnt Store Isles is very nice because the coal community did not start until 1980. A little fun fact about this neighborhood, my family moved here in June of 1981. There were only 5 houses in the neighborhood at the time. One of the other houses was owned by my grandparents. So I like to say as children, we ran this neighborhood, but it was all vacant land then. All the houses you see here were not here. And that's why the curb appeal appeals to so many people, because in other parts of town, sometimes you see 60s and 70s homes. I would say this neighborhood really didn't take off and start to fill in until the late 90s, early 2000s. So you see a lot of new homes here. Another advantage of this being a newer neighborhood, as the developers had already developed several areas in Punta Gorda Isles when they came to Burnt Store Isles. And they knew that people were coming here and they wanted great views. So they made the streets very curvy, which allows for more interesting views behind the homes. There are neighborhoods in Punta Gorda Isles with the same effect, but Burnt Store Isles has it everywhere. There is no mandatory HOA in Burnt Store Isles. There are city ordinances. I'll go through the big ones in a moment. But first, let me tell you, there is an optional civic association in Burnt Store Isles. They are really focused on 2 things, I would say: the social aspect of Burnt Store Isles and keeping Burnt Store Isles looking beautiful. The city ordinances that you must follow in Burnt Store Isles, there are many, and I can put a link to them below. But the big ones that affect the most people are that you have to keep your lawn looking lush. You can't have a detached garage or shed on your property, and you can't have an RV or a boat trailer or a commercial vehicle parked in your driveway. Now, if you have an uncle or somebody with an RV and they want to come and stay for a couple days, you can get a free permit through the city. And I did find one. If you see that piece of paper in that RV, they are following the rules because they just came for a little while. The city is not trying to be jerks. They're just trying to keep, some semblance of this is how it's supposed to be. So you can have your friends come for a little while, 7 days for free. Let's talk about price. Now, I'm recording this at one of the very last days of December of 2023. You could be watching it at any time, so I'm gonna give you some parameters here. In Burnt Store Isles, the median price today of a single family home is $970,000. Burnt Store Isles is located in the zip code 33950, which encompasses Punta Gorda Isles and downtown. The median price for all of 33950 is $767,000. That home is actually located in Burnt Store Isles. So that might give you some sort of idea of the range of pricing you might see if you kind of know what you're seeing in 33950 in general. Now let's talk about boating. There are a couple things you need to know about boating in Burnt Store Isles. First, you have to get through the Alligator Creek lock. It is not a real lock. We just call it that because there used to be a lock when I was a kid. You had to push a button and a lock opened. There is no lock there anymore. Sometimes you still see it on maps, but there's no lock there, I promise. The depth at mean low tide, I usually tell people about 4 feet. I have seen on the internet it say deeper, but it does get shallow in there. It's all sailboat water. I usually recommend if you're going to go much bigger than 34 foot for your boat, I would recommend probably Punta Gorda Isles over Burnt Store Isles. But you do see some big boats in there. You just really have to pay attention to the tides, and also keep in mind that that lock space, even though there's no more actual lock there, is about 16 feet. So you need to know what you're doing if you get too big of a boat, because you do have to go in and out of there. One area that's very interesting to a lot of people is the perimeter canal. As you can see, it gives for great views, a lot of privacy. The perimeter canal is also known as the rim canal. What you need to know about living on the rim canal as a boater is in certain parts, it gets very narrow. So you see people putting davits on the seawall and putting their boats off the seawall instead of off the dock. In Burnt Store Isles, you are required to keep your boat on a lift. So that's how they do that. If you want a wide boat, that section of Burnt Store Isles is not going to be for you. The other thing you should know about the rim canal is some people are bothered by no-see-ums there. They're little tiny bugs that bite. They mostly come out at dusk. Some people, they don't bother at all. I know it's very unfair. If you are concerned about this, I usually tell people who are interested, hey, go out near the rim canal at 6-ish at night or whenever dusk is, whatever time you're here, and stand there. That's when they come out. In the middle of the day, you won't really see them. So you could go look at houses and think this isn't a problem, but you do want to go check it out at dusk to see if they bother you. It is a fantastic section with fantastic views though. As I mentioned earlier, there are fantastic views all over Burnt Store Isles. It really is a beautiful neighborhood. If you have any questions about it, I would love to answer them. Please feel free to shoot me an email or put it in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next week.